Welcome to the 2015 Fountain Hill Stickball League season preview. I am your host and commissioner, Ryan Anderson. With me today, my guest analyst, Nick Johnson. Nick,
how you guys doing? Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Thanks for joining us. We got an action-packed program for you for the next half an hour. We got two special guests coming up. Collin Santos is going to be on the show, but first, in about 5 to 10 minutes, Tim Sawruk's going to be joining us. So, got a lot of hard-hitting questions to ask them.
Absolutely.
Couple key things to address here. We're going to be talking Labuda Cup champion this year. Who's taking it home? The MVP race. Who's taking that home? There's going to be award winners this year. Golden Glove, Silver Slugger. So we're going to be asking these guys all these hard-hitting questions. Also, a couple things to address. On Monday, I'm excited to announce that we're going to be relaunching our website under the name FHStickball.com. So again, www.FHStickball.com. Everybody visit that Monday. I think it's going to be a great new platform for us to use online, and I think everybody is going to enjoy it. Also, Tuesday, 5:45, we got a doubleheader opening day. First pitch starts at 5:45 between the Tomahawks and the Toon Squad. So that's going to be two great games to kick off the season. We're going to get right into the season preview, and I got to ask you, Nick, which one of these teams do you see making a run in 2015?
Well, look, right now, this is a no-brainer for me. Now, I am a Tomahawk teammate, but I'm looking at this as an analyst, right? I got to go with the Tomahawks right there. They have a core of young talent, okay? They have shortstop, third base solidified, left field, center field solidified, first base with Rocco DiPiola. I mean, they got a great team, okay? I know on the league website, the article said they're going to go 6-6. I don't see that. I see at least we're winning 8 games there.
Wow.
So I think our team's poised to make a run. I know the young talent. That didn't really work in the past under Joey Martin, but under new captain Brian Redding, I think it'll work.
Okay, that's a fair point. I got to say, my opinion, I'm going with the Toon Squad to take the Labuda Cup championship home this year. I think that they have the best 1 through 4, 1 through 5 lineup in the league, and I think that with adding Justin Knight, you already got the 2 Knights, you also got Zach Kirk, you also got Alex Beck. I mean, those 4 players right there are going to play, I think, really well for them.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest question there is who's going to play third base. I know we touched on it during the live draft. Can Josh Knight really play third base and put Wyatt Jones at first?
Well, it's yet to be seen. This is what we're all waiting to find out. I think we're going to learn this Tuesday. We're going to learn a lot of things this week. Like I touched on earlier, we're going to have Golden Gloves this year, Silver Sluggers, an MVP. Nick, you took home the MVP 2 years ago. Last year it was Alex Beck. Who do you see taking the MVP race this year?
Well, look, there's a few of our candidates left the league for this year. Maybe Tim Sawruk, Lump, they all left the league. But this year, I think we got a lot of candidates. Mike Zumas, right? Number 2 overall pick in 2012. Kyle Lachlan returning after a 2-year hiatus. He's a favorite. Of course, Alex Beck. Can he do the 2P? Josh Knight, who's always in the top 3 every single year, but according to him, he gets snubbed. Okay, so there's a lot of candidates. I like those 5 guys.
Well, I got to say, I'm going to clear cut. I'm going to say Josh Knight is going to win the MVP this year. I think I don't want to say he got robbed last year because I think Alex deserved it, but Josh has played well enough every year. The only thing he doesn't have is the home runs the other guys have to. This year, with us playing more games down at the Fountain Hill Park, I see Josh Knight raising his average, maybe even higher than last year, where he broke the record. And I think he's going to take home the Labuda Cup, the MVP, especially MVP and Labuda Cup for that matter, especially if he plays well at third base. If he goes over there and plays well at third base, you got to know he's taking that.
Well, you're really going out on a limb here, making these bold predictions, right? The 2-time champion Labuda Cup, you're going with the Toon Squad.
Well, no, they're not bold predictions.
Josh Knight. Jeez,
they're not bold predictions. They're just my predictions. That's all.
Yeah, well, they're poor.
You seem to be vague on everything. You didn't really name an MVP guy. You didn't say.
Well, I mean, okay, right now, I'll go right here. Kyle Lachlan shows up to every game, which I think he will. I'll go with Kyle Lachlan for the MVP. I know he can hit home runs to right field. He can slap in that little forest shrubbery up there down in the park. So I think that'll help. He's a great third baseman. He commits minimal errors. He makes all the throws. Kyle Lachlan, there you go.
All right, fair enough. Now moving forward, I'm going to give you 2 lead pipe locks for Golden Glove. It's going to be Peyton Bates and Richie Tagline are both going to win Golden Gloves, hands down. We're going to be giving out infield, outfield Gold Gloves and such. What do you think about the Gold Glove spot?
Well,
any guys who are under the radar?
Well, you gave 2 good answers, but I think both those guys can get dethroned. Now in center field, I can see Zach Kirk winning a Gold Glove. He's a guy who can cover a ton of ground out there in center. Mm-hmm. He's a lefty, right, which helps him run on that side. I mean, shortstop like Mike Daly, okay, over Peyton Bates, right?
Yeah.
Daly's one heck of an infielder. I mean, I think I can see him dethroning Peyton.
We haven't seen him play in years, though. We see him once a year at the Classic, so I don't have as much faith in him as I do in Peyton Bates. What about Silver Slugger? Who do you see taking those awards home?
Well, basically the MVP candidates, I said, right? Lachlan, Mike Zumas, Knight, Justin Knight even, right?
What about Rocco DePaul? You see him taking that next step last year? Again, we addressed this on the live draft. He was the #1 pick last year, didn't really live up to expectations. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's watching live right now. I heard he's at the prom. But
he's dancing too on his iPhone, hopefully.
But I think that he could step up this year and really grow into himself as a stickball player and possibly take home the Silver Slugger.
Yeah.
What say you?
You know, I think he definitely can. Like I said, he's all the potential in the world, okay? He claims he's not a power hitter. I do. I think he is. I think last year he just kind of got down on himself too much, right? Because he's a good player. We've seen him play. He has the talent. And first base, he can play first base. He's a good first baseman. So, yeah, I definitely see him maybe getting a Gold Glove and a Silver Slugger.
I don't see him as a pure power hitter, but I think he can hit a home run here and there and bat for average and maybe hit a bunch of doubles.
So you're saying he can't get it?
No, I'm saying he can get it, but I don't think it's going to be the route of hitting home runs all the time or hitting deep shots.
Well, I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying he's a power hitter. He hits for power.
All right.
That's just how I see it.
Now we're going to move ahead, bring on our first guest, the former Santos SWAT team captain and the infamous Tim Sawruk is joining us, folks. Tim, thanks for joining us.
How you doing, Tim?
Thank you for having me.
Great to see you.
All right. Tim was gracious enough to join us tonight. Late notice, just hit him up last night, and he was all about it. We're going to ask you, nothing hard-hitting here, just basic questions. Now, you used to be a captain in this league, granted a Labuda Cup champion captain, the first ever. Now, as an onlooker, if you were playing in the league, which one of these three captains would you most like to play for? Would it be the new captain of the Tomahawks, Brian Redding, Toon Squad captain, Josh Knight, or the Monarchs captain, Andrew Krause?
Personally, all three great choices. I wouldn't mind playing for any one of them.
Okay.
If I had to pick one, I'm going to lean towards Andrew Krause.
Okay.
High emotional guy. A lot of people say that's a downfall of him, but I think I can compliment him there and restrain that emotion.
Okay.
Me and him grew a bond over the off season. Did some stuff on and off the field, and I wouldn't mind playing for Andrew Krause.
I'll let you chime in on this here a little bit, but I gotta say I disagree with you. I wouldn't. It's not that I wouldn't like to play for Andrew Krause. I just think he sometimes lets his emotions get the best of him, and when things don't go his way, he tends to let that show, and that it shows with his teammates as well. So everybody gets down. I think he needs to improve that aspect of his captainship of the Monarchs. Now,
I gotta disagree with that. I think the raw emotions, things like that, they power the team. They make the team hungry to win championships. And Tim kind of touched on it. I know you're not a guy that really shows emotions, but why not showing emotions is what makes the team hungry to get that Labuda Cup. So I like it. I like Krause as a captain. I know he's got the fire. He's got the drive. So, I'm a big fan of Krause.
Now, Tim, Joey Martin and Brian Redding as well. Joey Martin won't be playing this year, and Brian Redding took over the captain spot for the Tomahawks, the new name, by the way. What do you think is going to be different between their styles of leadership, between Brian Redding and Joey Martin?
Brian Redding, high on emotions.
Yep.
Joey Martin, a little more laid back. I think Brian Redding's going to step into that position.
More vocal.
A lot more vocal than Joey Martin. He's going to step into a great opportunity with the team there, and that is my favorite to win the Labuda Cup, which is the Tomahawks. And I think Brian Redding will grab those reins and drive them to a championship.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Redding, definitely an emotional guy, similar to Krause. He's not afraid to yell from behind the plate like a catcher. He throws the bats at times, but that's great. That fires. Like I said, that's what drives you. I mean, Joey Martin, he did have his issues. Sometimes he would be non-responsive as a captain. Sometimes he wouldn't show up to games. And you need a captain to come to the games. You need them there every game to help the team win. And sometimes Joey Martin did not do that. And I don't see Brian Redding ever doing that. I see him coming to every game. He's got the heart. He's got the fire. So
now, Tim, again, you're a former team captain of the Santos SWAT. Unfortunately, this year, due to signups and wanting to make the league better in terms of scheduling and all of that, we decided to reduce the teams from 4 to 3. And unfortunately, again, the Sultans of SWAT were the team that was removed. What were your initial thoughts on the removal of the Sultans of SWAT this year?
I can fully understand the removal of the Sultans of SWAT. We had a lot of guys leaving, and we'd be lacking attendance all throughout the year. So we were number one choice to be chopped out of the league.
Now, as far as the future of the Sultans of SWAT goes, do you see them coming back in the future? I know I'd like to, but what do you think?
Oh, of course I see them coming back. 100% bounce back. Get right back to where we were, possibly Labuda Cup contenders.
First Labuda Cup champions ever.
Oh, without a doubt. And next year, expect us to bounce back. I would like to talk with the commissioner, yourself, and implement us coming back.
All right, it's something we're going to work on. Now, Nick, I got to ask you here.
Yeah.
The Sultans of SWAT, they easily had the most swagger of any team in Fountain Hill Stickball League history.
Mm-hmm.
All their guys were buddies. They all hung out all the time. Do you think that moving forward, this young group on the Tomahawks, do you think they're that new team with the swagger that's going to take them to a Labuda Cup championship?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we got all our guys connected. We are a young team. I don't think we have anybody over the age of 22 on our team. Okay. And we just all have a connection. We all love sports. We all love stickball. I mean, every now and then, we'll hang out and meet on the weekends, whatever. So I think we're taking over that new role as swagger from the Sultans of SWAT.
Okay. Now, I think you had a question to.
Yeah, I actually have a lot here. So let's get right into the nitty gritty here. I know in 2012, Tim, you made a bold statement that you were going to hit 700 and hit 12 home runs. Okay. 2013, that definitely didn't happen. I know Commissioner Ryan actually called you out on it. Saying it was ludicrous, it was heinous, it was an insult to the league. So, what are your thoughts on that? What was your initial thoughts when that happened?
It was a bold prediction. I like to set myself to high standards, but I casted a big umbrella over myself. I know it was too much to live up to, and a lot of people saw that, and obviously I didn't live up to the expectations that I set myself to.
Yeah, and the real question is, did you really think you were going to do that, or did you?
I honestly did have faith in myself that I could do that.
Okay.
If you look at the following year stats, 2014, I believe, I was really close to hitting 700.
Yeah.
Right. The home runs weren't there. They came late in the season, but I do have the power to hit them out.
You showed the potential to actually do that.
Yeah, I mean, in 2014, you were fourth in the league in home runs with 6. So, I mean, obviously you got the power.
I think 4 of them came in one game, too.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
One of the few people to do that.
Hey, you never know. My bold predictions might come 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
Now, Tim, before we let you go, who do you see taking home the MVP this year? I know Nick and I already touched on it. Who you got to take an MVP race?
I got the Tomahawks taking MVP race.
MVP.
MVP. I got a super sleeper here. I'm going to go with
Here we go.
Zach Kirk.
Wow.
Zach Kirk.
Zach Kirk is he's a lefty, and everybody knows that in this league, lefties are favored.
Yeah.
Defensively, everybody knows defense starts with your feet. Kid can move. He'll cover ground. From top to bottom, he'll solidify the MVP spot.
I think that's a really good pick.
That's a good. He's a sleeper for sure.
Now, I guess you already gave us your Labuda Cup pick, but elaborate. Who do you think is going to win?
Tomahawks. Top to bottom. They'll be able to turn the lineup over without a doubt every game.
Yeah, I mean, they easily have one of the best outfields in Fountain Hill Stickball League history.
Yes.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Nick Johnson and Richie Tagline out there just.
Defense is underestimated in this league, and they had the defense to do it, and I think that'll carry them.
Especially with all these games being at the park out there, the grass, you got to move. You got to move out there because there's no home runs. You could be turning around, running forever out there. So
that's right.
That's important.
Tim, I want to thank you so much for joining us. It's been a blast.
Thank you.
We're going to have you on again in the future, and hopefully we'll see you out there on that stickball field in 2016. All
Glad
right.
to be here. Best of luck with the league.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Now we're going to recap here a little bit. Tim had a lot of great things to say. He picked the Tomahawks as well as you.
Yeah.
Did you expect him to go that route?
After he said Kraus was his favorite captain, I thought he was going to go with the Monarchs. I really did.
Yeah.
The Monarchs are a good team, right? They have a lot of good players, a lot of good hitters. So I was guessing he was going to go that route, but he did go with the Tomahawks, and hey, I can't blame him.
Yeah, neither can I. Now, we're going to get our next guest right on the show. Collin dos Santos is joining us from the 13th overall pick to the Monarchs.
All right. How you doing, Collin?
I'm good, you?
Pleasure
to be here.
Collin, thanks for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
I got to ask you, how did it feel? Were you, first I'll ask this, we had the live draft a couple weeks ago. First time we ever did a live event, which I think was a decent success. Were you watching it live?
Oh, of course. I was watching with
Yeah.
all of my friends in Rockwood Basement. Even Chris and Nicola showed up.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
You guys had a good time?
Yep.
Did you? What were your expectations going into the draft night?
Well, I knew I wasn't top 5 player in the league, top 10.
Okay.
But I'm happy with 13. I did see a couple guys overdrafted.
Okay.
And I did see a couple guys underdrafted. So I'm not completely upset with 13. So
Like who? Who was overdrafted?
I'm not here to start problems, but I can tell you he was underdrafted.
Okay.
Tommy DePaolo was underdrafted. I believe he's going to be a great hitter in the stickball league this year.
Okay. Have you guys been playing?
Oh, we play 2 to 3 times a week.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think Tommy DePaolo was kind of underdrafted. I think a lot of people see his former self, the little guy who in 2013 and 2012 he hit 200 subpar, but in 2014 he did hit 382. So I think Tommy is, like you said, he's improving every year. He's gotten better. So that's a great statement. I have a few questions for you. First off, so are you excited to play for Andrew Krause? What are your thoughts on Andrew, and what do you think it's going to do for you guys?
I am ecstatic to play for Andrew Krause, and unlike Ryan Anderson, I disagree with too emotional.
Yeah.
Tim Sawruk, your previous guest, was one of the most emotional captains in the league. He got mad all the time, and he won the first Labuda Cup championship.
Yeah.
And I don't see how Krause can't do it.
Yeah.
He has the lineup.
So it looks like Ryan, it's 3 against 1 now. So maybe.
Well, hey, that's my opinion, and
Yeah.
I'm sticking to it.
Mhm.
Now, how did it feel when you were sitting with all your buddies watching the draft? How did it feel to get your name called at number 13?
Oh, it definitely felt good. It was a huge relief off my shoulders, just to know where you're going to play, because you hear all these things like this guy might take you, this guy might take you,
Right, a lot of
and then
rumors.
you find out you're playing for Krause, and I like to consider I think that me and Krause have a pretty good relationship, and I can play any way it needs me to, as long as it's not outfield.
Let me ask you this.
Shortstop.
So in 2013, you hit an abysmal 129.
Yeah,
Okay, in 14 games.
That's a huge.
But in 2014, we mentioned this on the draft, you improved to a 353 average, and you were 6th in the league in singles. Now, what did you specifically do? Did you do anything differently? How did you improve? Was it a lot of practicing? Let me touch on that for a little.
Well, first let me shout out my batting coach, who I like to call him Peyton Bates. He's always helping me with my swing.
Yeah.
He just shows me what he does, and then I try to do it. Every year I start off slow, so it's no surprise. I start off slow in the beginning of every year, partially from not playing all winter long, and then I find myself to pick it back up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. And where do you see yourself in 2015? Can you make any bold predictions here? 400 plus.
I'd like to be around 400.
400.
That's my goal.
Okay.
I think you're a 400 and up batter, no question about it. Like you said, you tend to start slow, but I think that
We all start slow.
Right, but you guys said you're playing twice a week. I expect a lot from you this year, Collin. I think that you're going to be a good player. I think you're going to step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe he might even have a better batting average than Rocco DePaolo. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Bold statement there.
I think he might end up with it. Now, some of these kids who signed up, we're not, the older crew and everybody in general isn't as familiar with guys like Sean Bush, AJ. How do you say his name?
Coker.
AJ Coker, Bailey Hostler. Tell us a little bit about these guys, how their game is. Tell us what you know about them.
Let me start off with AJ. AJ, he's new to stickball. This is his first year playing stickball. Hanging out on the hill does that to you. He started off pretty good, and he's only gotten a lot better. He hits shots to center field. He definitely has home run power. Fielding, he
Home
can do
run
it.
power, wow.
Yeah, I can see. I don't know if I see him playing in the league because the Tomahawks are a very stacked team. But he could start center field on the team. But
Yeah.
I don't know over Richie Tagline. That's tough.
Well, I think a lot of these guys are not being talked about because nobody knows about them, like Ryan said. And I think you see one on this doubleheader on Tuesday. You see him play once. You know when a guy has talent and if he can play. So I think that first game is really big for him and for Hostler and Sean Bush and guys like that. These first games are huge.
Yeah.
And Sean Bush, I don't know him too well. I've seen him play 2 times. He definitely has potential.
Yeah.
And Bailey Hostler, I hang out with him almost every day. I did quote myself saying one day he could be the next Richie Tagline.
Wow.
But
That's bold.
he definitely has a lot of potential.
Really good.
But he's raw talent.
Yeah.
Now, these
he has
guys
to be molded into the
are these guys your age, freshman college? What's the story on them?
AJ's my age.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Sean's my age, and Bailey, I believe, is an 11th grader.
Okay.
He goes to Parker.
All right, now we asked Nick this. I stayed on it. Tim did. Who do you see? Did you say he's taking home the MVP yet? This
No, I didn't. I'm gonna go with Kyle Lachlan.
as well.
I was a teammate with him on Toon Squad. He did great things that year. He's hit the furthest from run I've ever seen hit stickball.
Yeah.
He drops bombs.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about that.
And I played first base for him before. He doesn't make an error at third base. He's pretty solid.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you listen to the podcast with Kraus and myself?
Yes.
Okay. Now he stated in that podcast that either way he was taking Lachlan in that number one pick. Were you surprised by that, or do you think?
I think Josh Knight got scared. There was no way Kraus was going anywhere other way than Lachlan.
Yeah.
I think the draft would have played out. Lachlan 1, Peyton Bates number 2, Justin Knight number 3.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it would have played
That's
out.
what a lot of people are thinking. So
Yeah, I think.
Josh Knight, a lot of people think he got duped by Andrew
Yeah,
Kraus.
he may have got
Smart.
duped, but I can't blame him at the same time. He
Yeah.
was this guy, and
He doesn't take a risk.
Kraus teased the fact that he might take his brother Justin, and he made the bold move and traded those picks. He left a gap though where he wasn't picking for about 10 picks.
Yeah.
Do you think that hurt them in the long run?
I think it did because he does have a couple of spots. I see a lot of catchers on his team. He does have a couple of spots that.
That's what we said. Yeah.
He still has holes.
And the big question, we'll ask you: can Josh Knight play third base?
Oh, Josh Knight can play any position on the stickball field.
Wow.
I was on his team for 2 years straight. Never seen this too amazing.
Wow. And I gotta guess, you think that the Monarchs are gonna win the Labuda Cup this year?
Oh, of course. It's not even a question.
Yeah.
Not even a question.
Well, let me ask you this: what flaws, if any, do you see in your team?
I would say we don't know each other. The chemistry is going to be big.
Okay. Good point.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Chemistry
All right,
is always huge.
Well, Collin, it was a pleasure having you on again. We're gonna have more of the young guys on in the future. I think Wyatt Jones wants to be on a podcast coming up. Justin Pukevich as well. So thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks, Collin.
See you again. Good luck on Tuesday or next week when you play. Now, Nick, we had our Monarchs guest on.
Yeah.
Brian Redding wasn't able to join us. He's coming home from school tomorrow.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Brian, by the way. He graduated college. And Justin, or Josh for that matter, both college graduates.
Congratulations.
So congratulations to them. Now they turn the page in one of the most important chapters of their life, and they start one of the other most important
Can you
chapters
talk
of their life.
about the 2015
2015 Fountain House Football next season. And we're all excited for that. But I'm going to ask you a couple questions. I know we already touched on the Tomahawks a little bit here, but
Not too much, though.
But give us your opinion again on the Tomahawks this year. How do you see your lineup playing out in order? I mean,
Look, I'm very excited about this team, and I'm excited about our future. So I probably have our lineup where I think it's going to be almost memorized here. So third base, I think we're going to have Peyton Bates. Okay, Shortstop, we're going to have Darren Seaman. Left, I'll be playing left. Center will be Richie Tagline. I believe pitcher will be Brian Redding.
Okay.
First base, Rocco DePaula. Catcher, Luca Mirbay. And I think I'm missing one. Am I missing second base?
Yeah.
That'll be Tommy DePaul, obviously.
Tommy
DePaul. And then right field, Tony Seeley.
You know, I think you guys, like I said, I think you're going to pick up that spot that the Sultan spot left with that swagger. I hope to see it this year. I'm genuinely rooting for the Tomahawks because I think the young kids are the future of this league, and I'm rooting for them. But again, I got to say, it's going to be them and the Toon Squad in the Labuda Cup championship. Monarchs are going to be left out.
Wow.
They're going to be in it at the end.
Well, let me say this, and I think one of the big things our team has over the other teams is we will have attendance. Our team, all of our guys will show up, and that's the benefit of having some of these young guys that don't really have jobs, right? So they're not going to be, working till 5:30, 5:45. So they'll show up. They'll show up on time. They'll warm up. All of our hearts are in the league. I mean, and that's a big thing to have over these other two teams.
That's very important. I think you guys have a couple MVP candidates this year.
Yeah.
I think Richie, if he makes every game and plays to his potential, he's a definite MVP candidate. I think it's time for the young kids to step up and maybe take over this league.
Yeah, I think we have a few MVP candidates. I mean, let me say that Richie, at times last year, Richie, I'm not trying to call him out, but sometimes he did disappoint me at the plate, okay? Clutch moments, he didn't perform. Sometimes he was lackadaisical in the outfield. But he has a talent, okay? Of course, we all know that. So he's got to come up to the game and he has to have his mind right. So, Richie, I hope you're watching and listening to me here.
Well, listen, it's all going to play out on the field again.
Yeah.
This Tuesday, we have at 5:45 the Toon Squad and the Tomahawks are going to be doing a doubleheader. So again, a lot's going to play out.
Any predictions for those games? You got to split it?
I'm going to take a split. I got the Tomahawks winning game 1, and I think the Toon Squad is going to come out and win game 2. Okay. Now, again, new website launching Monday, FHStickball.com. But before that launches, go to our current website, league.fhclassic.com.
Some great articles. There's a poll on there, biggest bust, 2015.
Poll on there for the biggest bust. Do you know who's leading the vote right now?
I think it's Rocco DePaula.
Rocco DePaula.
He's got some demons on his back for this 2015 season. Man.
So go there, check out the season preview, recap on the draft, freshen yourself up before the season starts on Tuesday and before the new website gets launched.
I'll tell you this, that new website is going to be, it's crazy, man. There's crazy statistics, graphics, charts. It's going to be a nice
Stats-wise, we're going to be able to see team batting averages and a graph, who's doing what. And we're going to stay much more on top of it with the stats.
Yeah, and just an overall cleaner look. We're going to be doing in-game interviews, things like that. You can try to get some highlights of games. So it's going to be. I think it's going to be the best season yet.
I think it's going to be the best season yet as well, and I think it's going to set up for an even better season next year. Hopefully, with a 4th team in the league. Hopefully, the Sawruk.
Hey, maybe 5, 6.
I don't know about all that, but again, I'd like to thank Collin dos Santos for joining us. I'd like to thank the former Sultans of Sawruk captain Tim Sawruk. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Everybody watching at home, most
Thank
importantly, my guest analyst here, Nick Johnson, and our producer, Hank Warner. We're all working hard here behind the scenes, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys.